Good morning. Happy Monday, fellow crafters. How are you this morning? I hope you've had a either productive or relaxing or in some way a great enjoyable weekend. I know I have. I'm coming to you from the Pacific Northwest, and of course we've been wreathed in smoke for many days, and over the weekend we had some rain and all that smoke is cleared, and it is so refreshing to see blue sky. And today the sun is shining beautifully. You can probably see the light coming on me from the side. That's my beautiful daylight window in my studio, and I'm so appreciative of all that great sunlight. I so enjoy it. We're getting a lovely kind of Indian summer, really nice daytime weather here in the Spokane area. So, a couple things. Last week I had talked to you guys about a huge custom quilt that I was working on, and I was joking that I had to measure it in acres. That's just about true. I'll be posting some pictures of that, the kind of end result, the quilting on that today. The only thing that I couldn't get is any full-size shots of that quilt. It was 114 inches from top to bottom, so nobody in my house is tall enough to hold that up. In fact, no room is tall enough to hold that quilt up and get a full-length shot, and I have no floor big enough to put it on. So there's just photos of parts of it, but it was really fun to work on. It belonged to my friend Linda, who is a fabulous appliquer. So it was kind of a sampler quilt. There were 12 different blocks and then this lovely scalloped sort of border, all needle turn applique, beautifully done. It was a pleasure to work on. So, but I am glad to be out the other side of it. That was a lot of applique to be outlining. Anyway, on Friday when I chatted with you guys, I was working on a quilt that was very a casual, like a gift for a college boy. So I was looking for some kind of quilting design that was masculine to begin with and not too complicated. The owner of the quilt just wanted something simple done on it. Well, I'm a fan of parallel line quilting, but I realize that not all of you have channel locks on your long arm quilting machines or even on your sewing machine if you're working on your domestic machine. So what a channel lock allows me to do on my machine is that I can magnetically lock my wheels in place and quilt a perfectly straight line, unlock in advance, lock it again, quilt a perfectly straight line, which is very lovely, but not everybody has that tool. So I thought to myself, well, what can I quilt that will give kind of the same look, but doesn't require that type of mechanical lock or a computer, some way to make perfectly straight lines. So the one I'm going to draw out for you today is my solution to that. And I've done it before. It's a simple design, a little more dressy maybe than a meander, something a little nicer, and it gives the overall look kind of those parallel lines, but is quite easy to quilt out. And let me just make sure my iPad is waking up while I get ready to do this. Before I start drawing though, let me tell you a bit about what we're doing today. My husband and I are experimenting with a new tool, and it's called Ecamm, and it's an app, but it allows us to record this live. It allows us to add in things like my logo. It allows me to, instead of having a whiteboard behind me and glare on it and drawing on it with a marker and trying to keep all those balls in the air juggling, it allows me to do it actually on an iPad screen, and you can see it really clearly then on your screen. So today is our trial run, so please be gentle with us if we don't get everything right. And just in an effort to keep our variables down a little bit today, I'm just using a room mic. I don't have one actually on me, so I apologize for some of the, road noises and things that you're getting in. That's just the way it is today, and we'll try and add more features in and get a little more professional and polished with it as we go. But I would absolutely love some feedback from you guys on how this method works for you, if it makes it easier to follow and see. Chat in your comments if you will, and by all means, if you have any questions as I'm drawing this out, type them in there. And my husband, who's sort of manning the helm here, there he is. Hi, Dave. He'll let me know if you have any questions, and I will do my best to answer them. So without further ado, I'm going to draw out this design for you. It doesn't have a name, but feel free to tell me one that I can apply to it, because I don't have a fancy, clever name for it. So first off, I'm going to put in here kind of our quilting area. There's the top of our quilt. Here's the bottom of our quilting area. Well, really, it's going to be the bottom of our quilt for the purposes of this diagram. So I start very simply on the edge of the basted edge of the quilt here, and I just do a straight line down, loop, and a straight line up. Now, if you're working on a long arm, let me assure you that your machine wants to do that vertical line forward and back. If you will super relax, just get your machine moving and just kind of push it in the straight line, you can get amazingly long, straight, lovely lines with your quilting machine. So don't be intimidated by trying to get a straight line. Your machine really wants to make one. It's a good chance to relax and get those straight lines flowing. So we're going to travel then in the basted area, and we're just going to keep making half loops like that of all different lengths, totally random. Oh, I'm just going to undo that a little bit. Hang on a sec. Whoop. I do want to try and keep them evenly spaced. So this is about 1 inch from side to side, and I want this to be about 1 inch as well. Trust me, I do quilt better than I draw with my fat fingertip on an iPad screen, but we are endeavoring to get uniformity of widths there. Doesn't have to be perfect, but that's what you're aiming for. Aren't we all aiming for perfection? Yeah. So we're just going to draw in some more loops all the way across our quilt, random lengths, over to the edge. And when we come back, there we go, we're going to make kind of mirror images of our loops. So in here, we want to space them similarly to what was in our upper row. And again, we're going to go for very random lengths. And don't panic too much if your spacing is off. Just make the next one a little longer, a little wider or a little narrower to accommodate. I'm running out of space at the bottom of my screen. I see this will be a problem. In real life, if I was quilting this on a quilt, these would be quite long. They would be 12, 14, 16 inches long, a lot of them. You're seeing them kind of short and choppy on my screen here as I'm demoing. I recommend, if you want the look of parallel lines, that you keep them longer spaced. You'll see more of the line and less of the loopy cross bits. If you keep them short like this, it's going to look a little more like maybe waves of water, which is not a wrong look by any means. It's just a different look. The reason I kept them short is because I want to show you on that bottom line kind of how I end this at the bottom of the quilt. So here we go, we're over to the side, and I would do basically a reverse of what I did at the top. Travel in the basting of my quilt, go up and meet that next loop. Do you see how I'm doing that? And I would like for them to be more random in length than they are in the diagram I've showed you here, but the process is still the same. And there we go. So those are your loopy, wavy lines. Truly, I don't have a clever name for them, but they are a very great effect. One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning is I prefer, and this is just preference, you can do it any way you like, but I prefer for these lines to run crossways on my finished quilt, but I want to quilt them vertically, right? So I want to take care that I load my quilt lengthwise so that though I'm quilting forwards and back, I'm still working across my quilt. Does that make sense? So when the quilt is finished and I turn it, my lines will be going from side to side. So there you go. The look of parallel lines at a pain-free cost. Easy to do freehand. I encourage you to give it a try. Let me know what you think. Tag me in your posts if you tag on social media. Stitched by Susan. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'd sure appreciate if you give me a thumbs up and a follow. And I'm going to try and produce some more videos that you can follow. My pleasure in quilting is freehand and edge-to-edge design. So they're not complicated, they're easy to do, they're suitable for beginners. I want to help you get comfortable behind your machine and have things that you can quilt out easily, no pattern required. So follow along if you will. Stitched by Susan, and I will see you next time. Have a great week.